Hey everybody, this is Q, welcoming you to the first Charting Discovery Weekly Dow Update for the week ending June 21st, 2013. Welcome everybody, really glad to be here. Great to have you here. So what we're doing here, we're going to run through the Dow really quickly, and the way we're going to start out running through the Dow is by looking at the S&P. So we're looking at the ES 9-13, that's September's contract for the S&P 500, and it's really clear here what has been going on. Recently we've been in this major uptrend. Every once in a while we have to have this really healthy breathing, I call it a breath, and then we went up further, holding our breath. Finally we came down, took another breath, and then we really went for it and had this major uptrend. Then we kind of peaked out up here and started consolidating. You can see how we started slowly coming away from the upper envelope that I use, and I will be going into all these the lines and the indicators that I use in other posts, but right now I don't want to waste your time, and I do want to show you what I see in the Dow and in the markets in general. So we started consolidating here, middle end of May, and then we took another breath, and it looked like we were going to pop up off of the 55-day moving average like we did back here and back here, but it failed. It fizzled out. And then we tried again, and this was a really strong bar showing, okay, probably, strong uptrend, but the next day it died out. And you can see how the price action actually stayed around this 34-day moving average. And that's kind of where a lot of the action happened, and we can tell a lot by the price action and the way it interacts with these moving averages that I use. So this was this past Wednesday. We had a little down action, really nothing severe. It looks a lot like these other ones, came down and touched the 34-day moving average. But then the following day, Thursday, was a major downtrend beginning. That was the indication of a major downtrend beginning. We opened above the 34-day moving average just barely, and throughout the day we just came down through the 55 without hesitating and closed well below the 55-day moving average. In fact, we came down so hard we almost touched the lower 34-day envelope. And that's what these two blue lines are, the upper 34-day envelope and the lower 34-day envelope. And what they basically are is, this is the 34-day, this is the 34 period moving average, exponential moving average, plus 3%, and this is minus 3%. Okay, and the yellow is the 55-day moving average, and then the purple is the 144. So Wednesday we started down, nothing major, but then Thursday we had this major down trend beginning from this one bar, and then Friday what happened? This is actually a pretty good sign. I like that we saw this. This shows that there's a strong probability that the market is going to stay at around these levels. It's not going to drop any further. Relatively, it might come down and play with this lower 34-day moving average that I have, like it almost did here. So it might mess around with that a little bit. Probably won't close below it. I'm kind of watching this market in the next week to consolidate between the 55-day moving average and the lower 34 envelope moving average. Probably consolidate between there. It's going to wait for this 34 to come down and maybe interact with that, but good chance that this coming week we're going to consolidate right around these levels between the 55-day moving average, the yellow, and the lower 34 envelope. That's what I see for this coming week. And the reason I say that is because this is a doji. It's a very common candlestick pattern. And what happened was we opened at a certain price. Throughout the day, the traders brought the price up and down and closed at almost exactly the open of the day. And so that indicates a doji, and that indicates a possible stopping of whatever the most immediate trend was. And in this case, it was down, pretty major. So this shows a probable indication that it's going to level off and more or less consolidate at these levels, that the downtrend is going to stop, but we shall see. Okay, now we'll start with the Dow. Alright, here's the Dow, the daily Dow, and we can see a lot of the same type of pattern. It interacts with the averages slightly differently, but in quite the same way. So you can see here we came off of the upper envelope and just kind of bounced. We touched the 34-day moving average, which is very healthy. It needs to do that. That kind of regulates its growth. I call it a reset or a breath. So it took a nice breath and boom, off to the races. It was bound by the upper 34 envelope, and then we started to consolidate, more or less stayed here, bounced off the 34 again, as you can see. This was an indication that we might start to consolidate, and sure enough we did. Down here we took a nice breath, because up here we were taking breaths at the 34-day moving average, which shows a strong continuing uptrend. We didn't even make it down to the 55. Down here we made it to the 55 and did not actually continue up. And so here was Thursday's action. Really, again, nothing special. Friday's action, same thing. Went right through the 55, didn't even hesitate, closed well below it, almost at the lows. Or I'm sorry, that's Thursday's action. And then Friday you can see that the traders were like, whoa, let's take a step back, let's just hold on a second here. What the heck was that? And so they were unsure about the direction, and so you got a small candle, and it actually closed a little bit higher than it opened. So really the same thing. I see further consolidation between the lower 34 envelope and this 55-day moving average. It'll wait for the 34 to come down probably and interact there this coming week. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and run through these 30 Dow stocks really quick. We'll see this really very similar pattern, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them. But let's just see if we can see anything different, or let's just take a look at them. Here we go. Here is 3M. Same thing, it's breathing down here and touched the 55, interacted with the 34, was bound by the upper 34, came down hard, but we actually stopped at the 55. We did not come through it like on the indices. And again here it's a tiny little doji, kind of meaningless. It's kind of between the 34 and the 55. Shows me further consolidation right along those price levels. Alcoa. Oh boy, okay, this was, I guess we can call this a consolidation, but then it just started into a downtrend a while ago. And again, we're being bound more or less by the lower 34. I'll be surprised, it's probably going to fall further, but it doesn't like being away from this 34, the lower 34, for very long. You can see down here where it happened. It bounced up pretty high. And then it came up above it here, so I don't see it going a lot lower. It might play with these lows, and then we'll see what happens after that. But it's going to keep playing around with this 34. That's what I'm looking for in the future for Alcoa. We'll go to AXP. Okay, American Express, we're looking at same type of thing. This shows me probably it's going to go down a little further and interact with the 55. And then again, just like the Dow and the indices, it's probably going to consolidate this coming week between the 55 and the 34. That's the price action I'm looking for with AXP. A lot of consolidation. We had a big drop, and that's very healthy for the future, and now we just have to consolidate, and everybody's going to take a step back. Okay, so there's AXP. We'll go to AT&T. Huge drop on Thursday, Friday, and looks like further it might level off and wait for this lower 34 to come hit it, and then we'll see if it bounces above it again. But that's what I'm looking for. The next interaction is between this lower 34 envelope and the price action, and I'll see how that interacts. Good chance this is going to stay where it's at. I don't know if it's going to fall much further. Okay, BAC, Bank of America. Alright, what happened recently here? This past week, here's Wednesday, here's Thursday, interacted with the 34 and the 55. Friday came down below the 55 and closed right about at the lower envelope. It played with levels below it, and the traders didn't like it down there, so they brought it back up to right at the lower envelope. Again, I'm looking for more consolidation. Okay, we'll go to CAT. Same thing, you can see the downtrend. Probably stay between the lower 34 and the real 34. So there's CAT, CVX. Chevron says, you can see here how I just love these charts. This is the 144-day moving average. This is the lower 34-day envelope, and you can see how we interacted with these two down here. Again, I see further consolidation, probably staying above the 144. And probably above the lower 34 envelope too, and definitely below the 55 yellow. Cisco says, wow, look at that. Huge gap up. I wouldn't have seen that coming. So, okay, we started interacting with the upper 34. Well, especially based on the markets, I see it coming below the upper 34, and next interaction will probably be between the 34. And that's what I'm looking for with Cisco. We'll go to DuPont. Yeah, and you can see again, interact with the 34. Where price action is below the 55 right now. We're probably going to consolidate between there, between the yellow and the blue, the 55 and the lower 34 envelope for DuPont. ExxonMobil. All right, same thing. We've been consolidating a lot though with oil. Oil has been consolidating a lot, and oil has actually been on a I guess short-term uptrend, and then it consolidated, and now we're below the trend lines again. So more consolidation with Exxon. How about Home Depot? Okay, down right at around the 34. We might stay at that level, and again we're down below the 55. The same picture for probably all of them. HDINTC. Yeah, again we came down, and it's very healthy to touch this. We're probably going to stay below between the 34 and the 55 in the next week, is what I see happening for Intel. And then AIG. Same thing, we'll probably bounce off of the 55, and you can see how they're all very similar, yet they're slightly different between the averages. But if we get the overall trend of what's going on, we can kind of see what's going on pretty clearly. So we'll probably stay above the 55, and again, same for all these. Honeywell, staying above the 55 and below the 34. Okay, so you can see a huge downtrend, but it doesn't like to be below this lower 34 envelope, and so it did come up to meet it, and we'll see how it interacts with the 34 and with, these are my little default messages for NinjaTrader. And again, these are all free. All this entire setup is totally free from NinjaTrader. So yeah, I'm looking for an interaction between the 144 and the lower 34 in the coming week. Disney, same thing. You can see how the price is just kind of playing around in here. Oops. So there's Disney. Let me start running through these. Walmart, WMT. Yep, indication. See, this is a gravestone doji, but it's not extremely meaningful for reasons I'm not going to get into right here. But it does raise the probability of down more than up, but probably stay between. You can see how it stays between the 144 and the lower 34, more or less. We'll see that in the future. Okay, so there's Walmart, Verizon. Again, the same type of thing. We're all consolidating, which is very healthy. We had too much of an uptrend there. It just wasn't natural. UNH, that's UNG. Okay, UNH, same thing, coming down below the 34. Might stay above the 34. United Technologies, same type of thing, consolidation. So that's what we're seeing here. Coke might stay below this 144. That'll be interesting. Travelers, drop down below the 200. We closed below it here. Boy, dropped down further. But it doesn't like to be down there for too long. And we're way below the 34 envelope. So I don't see it coming down much further than that. It'll probably come up to meet this in the next week. And yeah, we kind of bounced off it here. But again, we're going to consolidate between the yellow and the purple. 55 and the 144. Pfizer. Probably going to come down to meet this. So that's a pretty strong down indication right there between the 34 and the 55, and it probably won't stop until it hits this lower 34 or even the 144. Microsoft, pretty big uptrend. It likes the up markets, or the up markets likes it, and we're probably going to stop here. Price movement downwards anyway. We're going to consolidate. This is what I'm seeing. High probability anyway. Not like I know the future. So there's Microsoft, Merck. Kind of a gravestone doji that popped through the 34 moving average. Not a huge indication of anything except more consolidation, especially because the 55 is still below it. But we're going to consolidate more there. McDonald's, same story. See how we kind of popped up off. We did not close below the 144. That's pretty good. So we'll see if we stay above there. Maybe consolidate between that and the 55. If the markets go up, we'll see. JP Morgan might stop on this 55, or it might come down to hit there, the lower 34. JP Morgan, JNJ. Very, very, very similar charts. Price action between the 55 and the 34. And then IBM. Let's see, dropping, this is huge, and then we closed the gap, and then, boy, we just dropped way below the 34, way below all the averages, so we're in a major downtrend. And the next thing I'm looking for, I mean, we'll see if it plays around with these levels or not, but the next price action interaction that I'm looking for is with this lower 34. Sometime it'll come up to meet that and get above it again, and that'll be a good healthy consolidation. once it's above it again. Right now it's dropping too fast. Okay, so there's the Dow stocks. Sorry it took so long, but apparently I had a lot to say about them all. And yeah, I noticed this here too. Like, you know, when I see these interesting candlesticks that stick out, I like to point them out because this is what I look for, and I just want to show you guys what I do. So this is what I do. We opened up on this upper line here, and then throughout the day the price went all the way up a little bit above this upper 34 envelope that I use, a little bit above that, but then throughout the day the prices were like, no, it's not. The traders were like, no, it's not natural up here, this doesn't feel right. And this is the mass consciousness, the mass psychology of all the information, everything in the entire world is in this candlestick. All the information, all the action, all the non-action, everything is spoken right here. So we played with this upper 34, and then they were like, no, it's not natural up here. So the price actually dropped to below where it opened, and that's why it's a red bar, because it closed below the open. So that's a strong indication that there's a downtrend coming, and sure enough, there was. So that's the kind of thing that I look for. Stay tuned. This is going to be an exciting ride. I'm really psyched. Thanks a lot for being here and for checking this out. I really appreciate it. You know, I just want to give you really valuable information that'll save you money and make you money. That's my goal here. Oh, look at this. This is the opposite of what I just explained. So we opened up on this right at the bottom of the little green box there. And that was right we opened up just above the 34-day moving average, and throughout the day traders were like, okay, it's going down, it's going down, it's going down, and we just touched the 55-day moving average, and throughout the day they were like, no, it's not natural down here, the price belongs up here. And again, the mass consciousness says all this and directs the price action. So they drove the price back up a little bit, and then it came down a little bit, but it closed again above the open and above the 34-day moving average. So that's a big indication that there is probably the downtrend, the most recent trend, is ending and an uptrend is beginning. And boy, we had a confirmation. I love seeing double dojis like this, and again, these are called dragonfly dojis, and it's an indication of what I just explained. And there were two in a row. The exact same thing happened the next day, and sure enough, it was up a little bit, but it didn't last, so whatever. Cool. So I hope you guys got something out of this. Cool. So thanks again, everybody. I really appreciate you being here. Hope you get something out of this. Hope I can save you some money. Hope I can make you some money. You know, these are so visual and they're so fast to look at, and so far they're really accurate. So I'm just loving them. All right, I'll check you out next time.